Okay, today's topic is rest and recovery. More importantly, why it's so important. And right now is a great time for me to talk about this because I just did a recovery ride on my rollers because I'm tired. And why do I know I'm tired? For one, experience. And here's the thing. And the other thing is, why I pointed this down, is I'm using a heart rate monitor, and I'll get to that in a minute, why it's important when you're trying to figure out whether or not you're tired. Which seems pretty simple to know, but when you get into a training program and you're excited and you're exuberant, what happens is, and I know this from experience and I know this from talking to other people, is that you throw out your internal monologue, and for whatever reason, either it's keeping up with the Joneses, and the Joneses being other people you train with or compete against. This is the downside of Strava and social media, which I help contribute to. But that said, what happens is, again, when you're in the thick of training for something or just in general, and you're just highly motivated and you don't want to stop, the problem is when you get older, especially after the age of 40, especially 45, 45 is the new 35. When you get past the age of 45, in my humble opinion, and through experts, rest is your best friend, not more work. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people, no matter how tired they were or how much volume they put in, I knew they put in that week, they continued to self-flagellate and just pound out more miles. And I'm referring to road bikers, road racers, endurance riders. They don't only have to be racers, endurance riders. Any kind of endurance, I'm throwing you all under the bus, is there's this mentality that more is better. It is not. I can tell you this, fundamentally, it is not better, especially, again, the caveat is after 45. What happens is your body is telling you, slow down, take a day off, take a week off, take 2 weeks off. I need rest. And here are the markers of whether or not you should take rest. The great thing is, if you have a lot of volume, training volume, and you use data like power meters and heart rate monitors, you have a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips that's been recorded. And why I put a heart rate monitor on is this morning, I felt tired. So I took it easy today at work, though I had a productive day, but that's a side note. And I took a long nap before this ride. And honestly, it's a beautiful day out. I could have rode my road bike, but I just wanted to keep things under control. And I honestly wasn't going to ride the rollers. That was up for debate. But that said, what I could use is, speaking of the data, is HRV if you use an Apple Watch, Whoop, or a Ring, or any other bio trackers. HRV still is kind of a black art, in my opinion. It all depends on the quality of the data you get and all of the interpretation there, but it gives you kind of an idea. And so when you're tired, your HRV is going to be very low and telling you need rest, potentially. The other thing is using a heart rate monitor. If you know what your heart rate is at a given perceived effort, PE, perceived effort, you can see if your heart rate is lower than what you normally would have at that effort. And that's where the power meter comes in to give you information to back up that perceived effort. If your perceived effort and the power that you're putting out doesn't jive with your heart rate, if your heart rate is submerged, if it's lower than you expect, you're tired. If it's what you normally expect, then you're good to go and don't push it. And here's the thing, because that's with endurance athletes, with all this data and all this information you have. But what happens if you're not an endurance athlete? What happens if you are just a guy working out? The one thing I learned about the thing about fatigue is your central nervous system, particularly guys that work out with heavy weights. heavy weightlifting is very taxing on your central nervous system, your CNS. And it will tell you how taxed you are. Your body will tell you how taxed you are by this one method is that you're really tired, so tired that you can't fall asleep, which seems kind of counterintuitive, right? If you worked out so much, you should be so fatigued that you'll fall asleep like a baby. That's not the case. You'll actually have a hard time falling asleep. And the other thing is you're going to have crappy sleep when you do fall asleep, and your legs are going to ache if you're doing squats or something like that. And squats and lower body heavy lifting tend to fatigue your central nervous system a lot more, just because it's kind of a fight or flight effort. With a bench press, as long as you've got rails there to protect your chest, it's not that taxing. It is taxing, but it's not as taxing as doing a heavy squat, especially a heavy squat, heavy deep squat, or a heavy set of deadlifts. So restless legs, hard time sleeping, crappy sleep tells you your central nervous system is taxed and you're tired. And that's when I'll know. Like, I tend to get over exuberant with my workouts, and with that adrenaline, with that excitement, you want to push through. It's like, oh, I can do another set, or do another exercise, another movement. But what happens is you pay for it. I'll pay for it at night because I'll realize, like, crap, Will, you overdid it, and you'll feel it at night. And that's when I learned that was racing late in the evening, and that doesn't help things. And plus, when it's hot in the summertime, you already have crappy sleep, but racing in the evening and a hard race really taxes your central nervous system. So it is a absolute recipe for fatigue. It's an absolute recipe for more fatigue because you got crappy sleep, you had hard effort at night, and it just kind of cascades, especially when you're older, over 45. So these are things to watch out for. And again, going back to what I said earlier, after you're 45, rest is your friend. And here's the there's a multitude of downsides of being really tired. And one of the main ones, again, of the multitude, one of the main ones that people don't realize is that weight, that 10 pounds, that 20 pounds you can't lose is possibly due to stress and from working yourself out too much, which is physical stress. It goes into your central nervous system, your cortisol levels are jacked, all kinds of things, and your body's just saying something's going on. There might be an ice age coming. I gotta save some energy, and that's where the fat comes from. All this said, tying it up, and what kind of motivated me, and I don't know why I'm bringing this at the end because I don't script these videos, is I read a blog post of an acquaintance. This morning, and he is an endurance rider. Older, but he fell into the trap, and he admitted this, of the more is better, and got himself into a heck of a pickle. He has chronic fatigue syndrome now in the worst possible way, and his body's basically shutting down. And this isn't something that's going to get over within a week. It's been months for him. And I think it's brave of him to share that in a blog post, but it goes to show how much we need to break this mentality of more is better. It isn't, especially when you're older. It's just a recipe for horrible things. I won't go into details of the stuff this acquaintance is struggling with, but it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And it's good. He's dug such a huge hole that the irony is the reason why he kept working through and working out more and riding more and is to get better so he could race. And now he won't be able to race for a long time. And even then, he might not even be able to. Perform anywhere near where he did before. I seriously doubt it. But there you go. That's why rest and recovery is very important, and some of the telltale signs. And I can go on into this absolutely more in depth. But I just think that story from that acquaintance, that blog post, is what inspired this. And it's It's so damn common, so common. And it's just one of these ironies is that we self-dig these holes for ourselves in the hopes of actually getting better, but we make ourselves worse. Thanks for watching.